NBA 2K rating stock watch, recapping the NBA and analyzing what players should be going up or down in 2K rating. We're breaking down games from October 29th, 2021, day 11 of the NBA season. There were 7 games. Let's start off with the Toronto Raptors, who beat the Magic in a nail-biter, 110 to 109. The Raptors, led by Gary Trent Jr., who scored 19 points and poked the ball away from Cole Anthony on the final possession. It was the second time he had done that to Cole Anthony in that game. He's really established himself as a quality defender, so he's somebody whose rating I think should be way up. He's starting for Goran Dragic. Dragic began the season in the starting lineup, and he would have never made that defensive play. He's completely out of the rotation at the moment. The Raptors in general, they rank 6th defensively and 15th offensively. The offense is a big surprise. We kind of knew that they'd be a scrappy defensive team, but as long as the three-point shooting is good, it looks like they're going to at least be a league average offense, which means they're probably a playoff team. Scotty Barnes, he has also been impressive, a little bit better than was otherwise anticipated earlier in the year. He's had 21 and 9 in this game. He's another player who I'd say his rating should be way up. Fred VanVleet, he added 19 points and 6 assists. OG Anunoby had 16. His rating's probably too low. And speaking of somebody who's too low, Delano Banton, he's a 69 overall. Needs at least a 5-point overall boost. He's been the backup point guard rather than Dragic. He's playing ahead of Dragic and Malachi Flynn. So clearly, and he's playing well. He had 10 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 4 or 6 from the field, 23 minutes. Looks great out there, and he looks like a steal of the draft. He was taken with the 46th pick this year. So he's playing a lot better than expected. Let's check out the Magic. They dropped to 1 and 5. Their offense has been pretty good this year. They shot 47% from 3, but defensively, they only had 1 steal to the Raptors' 11, which ended up being a big difference in the game. They did lose to the Raptors getting a key steal, or almost a steal. Cole Anthony had to take like a half-court heave because it got knocked into the backcourt, but he did lose the ball, leading to like a Gary Trent dunk earlier in the quarter. So not great. They're 30th in the league defensively this year, 22nd offensively. Obviously, they're super young, so that's kind of to be expected. But what I didn't expect is they're actually only 28th in pace, despite being a young team. And that kind of makes some sense, as they're not like terribly athletic, especially in the front court, where they've got like Wendell Carter Jr. playing the 4 right now, Mo Bamba at the 5, Franz Wagner isn't like a crazy athlete at the 3, and they don't really have like a crazy bench or anything. So you would think that once players like Markelle Fultz and Jonathan Isaac come back, they'll be able to push the pace. But for the moment, they're like a slow, lumbering, bad defensive team, which is kind of weird. Mo Bamba, he had 14 points, 18 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 blocks, and 2 threes in this game. Really solid and clearly very underrated at a 76 overall. Definitely should have some separation from Robin Lopez, who's his backup. Wendell Carter, he had 17, 12, and 3. He hit a 3 in this one. He's been playing the 4 in the absence of Isaac and O'Keefe. Cole Anthony, he was solid with 24 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 threes. He's somebody whose rating also should be going up. And Jalen Suggs, he's been starting at the 2 guard. He had 21 points, 4 assists, 4 threes. And this was probably his best game of the year. He'd been really struggling badly with his shot. I'm going to need a couple more lines like this before I say that his rating should go up or anything. But Gary Harris, he had 11 points off the bench. Previously, I had suggested that Harris start, but if Suggs is going to come alive, then we can probably hold off on that in the meantime. Let's check out the Pacers, who beat the Nets, who beat the Pacers 105 to 98. The Nets moved up to a 3-3 record. James Harden lives. He had 29, 8 and 8, 5 of 11 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3, and 16 of 19 from the free throw line. Jesus, where did that come from? He had more free throws in this one than he had in the first 5 games combined. 19 in this game, 15 over the rest of the season. He's still only shooting 37% from the field, so he is somebody whose rating I recommend dropping like a rock. but it's good to see that he's not dead yet. The Nets, they rank 27th offensively and 14th defensively right now. Harden struggles are the main reason behind that. Obviously, they've been without Kyrie Irving, but Harden clearly not playing like himself this year. It's a good performance, but we need more like this game in order to cancel out the first 5 games. Kevin Durant, he had 22, 11, and 7 turnovers. So not the greatest line for him, but he was super efficient. 7 to 10 from the field, 7 to 8 from the line. Bruce Brown, he started for Nick Claxton for the 3rd straight game. In my personal roster, I've moved him to the power forward position. 2K's got him at the 2 guard, which is a little silly. And he's been pretty good. He was good last year. He came off the bench, or actually he didn't play in the first 2 games of the year because they wanted to try some bigger lineups, and the bigger lineups did not work out. One thing we did learn that is from the bigger lineups is that LaMarcus Aldridge is back. He had 21 points and 8 rebounds in this one, 10 of 16 from the field, 28 minutes. So he, I think, could move into the starting lineup at some point. It really depends on how he's feeling physically. Blake Griffin, he had 3 points in this one, 1 of 7 from the field, 0 of 3 on threes. He's averaging 4 points per game, 23% from the field, 7% on threes. So he's also a big part of the Nets' offensive ranking, as they've really been playing 3 on 5 a lot of these games. And yeah, obviously he's not like a shot blocker. Neither Aldridge or Blake Griffin are like crazy good shot blockers or anything. Aldridge obviously I think is a little better. But yeah, the way Griffin's playing, he probably shouldn't be starting and maybe shouldn't even be in the rotation at the moment until he can figure things out. Let Paul Millsap and James Johnson get a little bit more time. Checking out the Pacers, they dropped to 1-5 this year. Malcolm Brogdon, he was out, so TJ McConnell got the start. The size and strength disparity between McConnell and Harden probably helped Harden get going, so worth noting for Harden's next few games. But Sabonis, he was kind of quiet, 16, 7, and 6 with 3 steals. Just kind of a standard game, nothing crazy. Chris Duarte, all the way down here, 19 points. He's averaging 19 on the year. God knows when 2K is going to figure that out. Torrey Craig, he had 28 points, career high for him. Also chipped in 11 rebounds. O'Shea Brissett only played 4 minutes in this one. Didn't see any reports of an injury. They probably just wanted Craig on KD for his defense. So, and then he outscored KD in this game. So pretty solid all-around performance for him. He could be moving up in the rotation. And the Pacers, they're 18th offensively, 21st defensively. They've had a ton of injuries, and they've played better than their record, but they've got to be better down the stretch of games. Caris LeVert is questionable to debut tonight against Toronto. But, well, Brogdon is doubtful, so, you know, the Pacers, they've had a couple rough, they've been competitive in all their games, but they just haven't been able to get that little extra oomph to get them over the edge. Hopefully their season turns around at some point. But the Heat, there's no way for their season to really turn around. They're probably the best team in the Eastern Conference. They beat the Hornets 114-99. They have the best defense in the league. And they are right now posting the best defensive rating since the 1990s, which is wild. They are 12th offensively also. And like I said, to me, they seem like the best team in the East. Granted, the Bucks have not yet been at full strength, but they did beat the Bucks pretty handily. And so it looks like they'll get to renew their rivalry come playoff time. The Heat moved up to 4-1 with this victory. Jimmy Butler had 32, 10, and 5, 12, 19 from the field, hit a 3 with 7 to 7 from the line. He had 36 points in his last game, so he's red hot. Bring his rating up for sure. He's averaging 25, 7, and 5 with 3 steals, shooting 51% from the field and 89% from the line. Bam had his best game of the year with 26 points and 19 rebounds. Tyler Hero added 26, 5, and 6 off the bench, 9 of 13 from the field, 4 of 6 from 3. Duncan Robinson, it hasn't all been like gravy for the Heat. It's crazy. Like, offensively, they could be even better. Because Duncan Robinson, he's been ice cold this year, 2 of 12 on threes in this one, shooting only 28% from 3 for the season. And Kyle Lowry, he's the other one, 4 points, 2 of 10 shooting in this one, 7 points per game, 7 assists per game, only 27% from the field and 14% from 3. So I would recommend dropping his rating and obviously dropping like Duncan Robinson's 3-ball rating just a tick in the interim. But when those guys get going, oh boy, like look out for the Heat. And checking out the Hornets, they dropped to 4-2. They have the number 3 offense, but they're only 26th defensively, which perhaps explains why the Heat had such big lines in this one. LaMelo Ball, he's cooled off. He's only 5 of 28 from the field over the last 2 games. He had 6 points and 6 assists in this one, but was only 2 of 14. Like I said, the Heat defense is stifling. Gordon Hayward had 23 points, 5 threes. Miles Bridges, he had 22 points and 8 rebounds. He was the East Player of the Week last week. He probably won't get there this week, but he is averaging 26 and 8, and clearly his rating needs to go up. Should be higher than Mason Plumlee, for example. And Kelly Oubre, he started again for Terry Rozier. Rozier's been out for the last 4 games, but 2K hasn't realized that, so fuck them. He had 17 points, and he's been playing pretty solid. Let's go to the Kings, who beat the Pelicans 113-109. Kings moved up to 3-2 on the year. Fox 23-7-5, solid line. He'd been struggling a little bit prior to that. Rashad Holmes, super efficient, 21 points, 7 of 8 from the field, 7 of 7 from the line. Harrison Barnes, he continued doing the thing, playing great, 18 points, 12 rebounds. He's averaging 25 and 10 on the year. Obviously needs a much higher rating than Marvin Bagley, who is completely out of the rotation. Tyrese Halliburton, he had his best game of the year with 17 points and 8 assists. And Buddy Hield, he had 20 points, continuing on his 6th-man bid. He probably should have a higher rating as well. Did it for Holmes. And the Kings looked like they could push for the playoffs, or at the very least the play-in. Checking out the Pelicans. They fell to 1-5. Season's not going great for them. Jonas Valanciunas had 24 and 13. Brandon Ingram added 22. But they don't have too much offense beyond those 2 guys. Herb Jones started again for Zion Williamson. He had 12 points in 24 minutes, the best game of his career, but clearly, despite his rating, A, should be higher than a 70, but B, he's just no Zion Williamson offensively, and they are direly missing him. They're only 24th offensively and 19th defensively. Zion is still without a timetable, unfortunately. And Devontae Graham and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, they combined to score 27 points on 9 of 32 shooting, so they're not going to be the most efficient backcourt in the world. Worth noting, they played the Kings, who feature Davion Mitchell off the bench, a.k.a. off night, so that might have had something to do with their poor shooting in this game. Head over to the Nuggets, who annihilated the Dallas Mavericks 106-75. Joker, 11 points, 16 rebounds, 8 assists, only played 25 minutes. Obviously didn't need to play much more than that. Will Barton, he's been the 2nd best Nugget this year. He had 17, 5, and 6. Obviously his rating should be much higher than like Monte Morris, and even like Michael Porter Jr., who's been ice cold this year. 12 points on 5 of 12 shooting in this one, but that's been his MO since he signed his max contract. So the Nuggets need a lot more out of him. The coach acknowledged that they need to get more out of him, and if he doesn't get things going, he'll probably end up in Mike Malone's doghouse, and we'll see more PJ Dozier and guys like that instead. As for Dallas, they dropped to 4-2, but they had an abysmal game, shooting 30% from the field and 22% from 3. Luka had 16, 6, and 4. 5 of 18 from the field. It's not a great game for him, but nobody else could get it going. Trey Burke was the only other player in double figures with 11 points. Pretty sure all of that came in garbage time. Luka is averaging 22, 9, and 7 this year. 42% from the field, 26% from 3, and 4.5 free throws a game. Last year he was at 28, 8, and 9, 48% from the field, 35 from 3, and 7 free throws a game. So we could definitely drop his rating. He's playing more like a 91, 92. Maybe the Jason Kidd effect, not necessarily Luka's fault, but it is what it is. KP missed this game also. Reggie Bullock started for him. Tim Hardaway Jr. was 1 for 7. Dorian Finney-Smith was 0 for 7. And the Mavericks are 29th offensively and 11th defensively. Interestingly, the Kid had the opposite problem in Milwaukee. They were like they were a terrible defensive team with him. So at least they're playing defense. but their offense just has not. Rick Carlisle, probably safe to say, is a superior offensive coach to Jason Kidd, and we're going to have to see how the team adapts and is able to get easy looks, because really Luke is the only one that can create his shot, and if he can't get it going, they're in a world of trouble. Heading over to the Blazers, who kind of have the opposite problem. Dame Lillard, he had 25 points, 6 assists, 9 of 17 from the field. He'd been struggling in a big way, only averaged 19 points on 37% shooting, which is down like 10 points per game. But the Blazers, they're ninth offensively right now, but seventh defensively. And defense had been their weakness for pretty much the entire Terry Stotts era. They don't need a big night from Dame every single time to win now, which is great for their playoff prospects. CJ McCollum, he's been playing well. He's averaging 24 points per game. He only had 14 points on 6 of 18 in this one, but otherwise, he's been great. Nurk had 14 and 17, and Norm Powell had 12 points and 4 threes. He returned from an injury. So Nasir Little, he moved back to the bench. His rating should be a little bit higher. And Dennis Smith Jr. fell out of the rotation as a result. And worth noting, they dispatched the Clippers 111-92, holding the Clippers to less than 100 points. And the Clippers are having their struggles as well, as they dropped to 1-4. Paul George was the only guy who could get it going. 42 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists, 15 of 24 from the field, 6 of 9 from 3, 6 of 9 from the line. But the rest of the starters combined only were 6 of 29 from the field. So George, his rating should obviously be much higher than an 88. I think he was all NBA last year, so that seems pretty low. He's going to have a year comparable to Kawhi Leonard. If he was all NBA first team and third in MVP the year before he joined the Clippers when he was with the OKC Thunder. So I don't think he's going to be first team or anything this year, because that would require the Clippers to have a positive win-loss record. But certainly he's going to have a great year, and the Clippers, they need to get some help for him. Their supporting cast so far has been terrible. Luke Kennard was the only other player in double figures this game, with 16 points and 4 threes. It would not surprise me if he joined the starters at some point, as Reggie Jackson is probably more comfortable in a 6-man role, I think, and Eric Bledsoe, obviously not a great shooter or anything. Nick Batum, he started for Marcus Morris in this one as well. The Clippers, they're 26th offensively, despite being 9th defensively, so they're in trouble without Kawhi. If they can get things going, they might be able to, offensively, they might be able to turn it around, but otherwise, they could miss the playoffs. The competition is going to be very stiff in the West, and once they get down in the standings, they'll probably be resting Paul George, giving him some load management and whatnot, and just focusing on next year once Kawhi is back. Now let's check out the other LA team to finish things off. The Lakers beat the Cavs 113-101. Lakers moved up to 3-3. LeBron returned from a 2-game absence and had 26 points and 8 assists, 3 steals, but only 1 of 10 from 3, so he's not playing super great. I would say his rating probably is going to drop to like 94, 95-ish territory. Probably doesn't need to have the highest rating in the game. Davis, he had 15 and 9 in this one. Westbrook, 19, 6 and 5. 8 of 13 from the field, 2 of 3 from the line, 4 turnovers. Not great, but not catastrophic either. Obviously, he's somebody whose rating I recommend dropping, but he didn't kill them tonight. Although, defensively, I guess it's worth noting, the Lakers this year are 7th offensively, but they are 23rd defensively. Last year, they were 24th offensively and number 1 in the league defensively. So Russ has had a negative impact on the defense, I think. Worth noting that the Cavs point guards combined for 36 points, the world beaters of Darius Garland and Ricky Rubio. So, they need more effort from Westbrook, who is a ball watcher a lot of the time. He picked up some of that from James Harden, I think. He locks in every now and then one-on-one, but his team defense is usually just atrocious. Malik Monk, worth noting, he went back to the bench in this one. He had 0 points in 5 minutes. It seems like he'll probably be out of the rotation as long as the top other guards are healthy. Worth noting also that Kendrick Nunn isn't healthy yet. But Austin Reeves, he had 7 points in 21 minutes. Avery Bradley, 7 points in 23 minutes. These guys both should have higher ratings as long as they're in the rotation. Ditto for Kent Bazemore, who's starting, so clearly should have a higher role than Malik Monk, who is barely in the rotation. And finishing off, Carmelo Anthony had 24 points on 9 of 12 shooting, 6 of 8 from 3. Looking like he's going to make a serious 6-man of the year bid, although he could end up in the starting lineup at some point because DeAndre Jordan and Dwight Howard just haven't really done much this year. And if the Lakers are only 23rd defensively with a big lineup, like what's the point? You're supposed to be playing the big lineup in order to have a good defense. But if they're not able to make a positive impact on the defense, then just play Melo and get the spacing and play Davis at the 5. At least that's my thoughts on what the Lakers are doing so far in the early going this year. As for Cleveland, they dropped to 3-3, but they've been better than expected. They are 19th offensively and 17th defensively. Last year, they were 28th offensively and 25th defensively. So Evan Mobley, he's had a very big impact. As I previously mentioned, he's my pick for Rookie of the Year. He had a career-high 23 points in this one. Lauri Markkanen, 17 points and 3 threes, 7 of 14 from the field. His best game of the year by far, but he's been dreadful otherwise, shooting in like the low 30s from the field. And Mobley has been great, so I would definitely recommend getting Mobley a higher rating, probably like the 81, 82 range, and probably dropping Markkanen down to like a 77. Garland, as I mentioned in the Lakers segment, 18 points and 11 assists. Rubio, 18 points. Those two guys have been great. The Cavs have gotten 48 minutes of quality point guard play from the position, and that was something they really struggled with over the last 4 years. Unfortunately, Colin Sexton had an off night. Otherwise, they might have been able to steal this one from the Lakers. He had 9 points on 2 of 9 from the field, so Cavs dropped to 3-3. And that wraps things up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're new to this channel and like roster content. I'm going to be putting it out all throughout the year. And like this video if you want to help this channel grow. And you can also follow me on Twitter at Real2KInsider. If you have any feedback or think I'm too high or low on a player's rating, think I'm a Russell Westbrook hater or whatever, let me know in the comments. I'll see y'all tomorrow.